Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, and founder of GSD Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team at Collect Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. In fact, that was 2016, and we were pre-transformer model, one of the first generative AI companies. We believe at GSD that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. And with that, I have an incredible guest today. I'd like to introduce Omar Thor Omarsson, who's calling us in on our Zoom all the way from Reykjavik, Iceland. And today we're going to talk about a little bit about his background and about AI-powered web insights and his approach to that and founding Optic. So with that, here we go.
Hey, Gary, it's a pleasure to be on.
So now what I was saying is, you're all the way in Reykjavik, Iceland. And how did you get transitioned from finance and corporate roles into entrepreneurship? And what really inspired you to take that leap?
That's a great question. I'm actually a financial engineer by background, and I was always going to work in financial services and in banking, and then I did that for a while, really didn't like it. I was working as a consultant for Deloitte in Switzerland and for a bank, and then I just kind of had this moment one day. I was just walking down by Lake Zurich, and I was just like, this isn't what I want to do. And at the same time, I saw this advertisement.
What made you decide you didn't want to do it? What was that day when you're walking down the lake? What had brought you to the point you said, I don't want to do this?
Well, actually, there is a story about behind it. I remember the exact moment where I was like, this is not for me. And I was sitting in the office in one of the banks in Switzerland with a 20-people team of just super smart members of Deloitte, and you had doctors there. You had master degrees in science and math and engineering and all of it. So very, very smart people. And this our boss, she came in waltzing into the office and like summoned everybody into this room, and then she went, I need to know where all of you are every single minute of the day. So where were you, Jim, at 3 p.m.? And he was like, I was in the bathroom. And she was like, well, I need to know. And I was just like, this isn't right. I can't work for a company that.
Wait a minute, they asked you if you were in the bathroom?
Not me, but another
That's
guy.
Crazy. That's unbelievable. Wow.
Yeah.
And so that was a time you said, I don't want to be micromanaged like that. This is kind of like being in grade school, actually.
Yeah. So that's exactly it. I mean, there was a lot of good learnings there. It was a good overall experience, but it was just missing that flexibility and creativity that I just really needed. And that's where I started. I took that walk and I started looking for another role somewhere. And exactly at that time, I saw an opening for business development for a SaaS company, global SaaS company that's founded here in Iceland. And then I applied for the job. We did an interview over the phone. I was actually in the bathroom of one of the banks in Switzerland when I did it, just sitting on top of the bathroom doing that call.
There's a theme here about these bathroom things.
Yeah. But then I had, they said, well, you need to fly into Reykjavik in Iceland. We need to meet you to figure out if you're the right person for this job. And so I called in sick 2 days and flew to Iceland, did the interview, came back right in time. And luckily I got the job. So that's when I moved over to business development. We kind of transitioned into marketing, which where I really kind of found my kind of passion, at least until I founded this company, which is now my passion, which is creating something and leading all these different streams of product and sales and marketing and having it all kind of come together. And finally, my real passion now is actually AI, which is kind of what we're really working on here at Optise.
So you're originally from Iceland, right? And so what did you miss Iceland when you were in Switzerland, or what made you decide? Did you say, "Oh, that's a"? I mean, because you just don't find roles there. It must have been you were on the job boards or something, or LinkedIn, and you said, "Oh, this popped up. I want to go over." Did you want to get home?
I guess, I mean, Switzerland's great and Zurich is great and Reykjavik also amazing, but it was more just, it wasn't the right job for me. There was actually my friend that was working in Switzerland that said, there's an opening here. I think you're perfect for it. So I applied for it, jumped on a plane with my girlfriend, and we just moved over there. And after 2 years, I just figured this isn't the right one for me. I did miss my friends and family. Obviously, I love Iceland. It's a great place. And if there's anything that I really did miss, it's the swimming pools we have over here. Those are the best. We have these hot springs and all this hot water. So we have
Now, do
about
you go
30
in
hot
there in the
swimming.
winter time? Do you jump in the swimming pools?
Oh yeah, man. We got swimming pools, 30 swimming pools in just Reykjavik alone, and the hot tubs go all the way up to 40 degrees Celsius. And
That must cook you. That's about enough to boil lobster, you know?
yeah, you have to be kind of prepare yourself before you go in. But we got cold tubs as well, which is it's pretty popular to go here into the cold tubs, then into the hot ones, and then to the cold ones. So it's a very good way to unwind, I'd say.
Now, do you do like, the Ukrainians and Russians? Do you have like little shrimp and stuff like that when you're going in? Do you have like beer and sit around, or what's the custom like? So you go in, do they have like a changing area where you sit around and have drinks and talk, or how does it work?
Yeah. Yeah, that can be part of it. It's I would say, very kind of just every day to go to the swimming pool. Many people just go every day. We actually call them like the hot tubs are like where we solve all the world's problems. That's kind of where people come together. So there's typically not in the normal swimming pools any food or drinks, but afterwards it's very common to go out for beers or food or anything, because you feel amazing afterwards and you just want to have fun and enjoy people's company.
Huh, that's interesting. So you do that, and then so what's the population of Reykjavik? Are you there right now? How big is it? I didn't even check.
I think it's probably way lower than you think. Total Iceland maybe 400,000 people, and Reykjavik maybe
Oh
100.
my. Wow, that's amazing, because I thought it was now a lot bigger than that. That's amazing. So you must know everybody.
It's very common over here. If somebody says, "Do you know John?" I'll be like, "Tell me a little bit," and then very often you will know him or somebody around him. So it's quite common that we are familiar with each other.
Now, why are there so many strong men from Iceland? Is there
Wow.
something going on there? Because there's a lot of them, right? It's
Yeah.
a
We've
disproportionate amount.
We've had a lot of strong men and the strongest men in the world. I think it's just good genetics, man. We have this food over here called skyr. It's kind of like Greek yogurt, but it's like packed with protein. So it's very common for these muscle guys to go hit the gym, go out, lift some rocks, and then eat some skyr.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really interesting. So let's dive deeper into your current venture. What was the motivation behind it? It was because of the situation where you weren't happy with your other job and you moved into that. But how does Optise specifically address the challenges of traditional analytics platform where they fail, and how do you solve them?
It's a great question. So after I left Deloitte, I was a CMO for this SaaS company for 8 years, where I was kind of responsible for just everything marketing. I think that's a little bit how many marketing people feel, especially in small to medium-sized enterprises, is that the marketing team is kind of small. You wear a lot of hats. So I did that for 8 years, and then I moved over to a digital marketing agency where I helped 100 other SMEs working on various things. So I just started to see a pattern of different things or different problems coming up again and again and again and again. And one of those problems was that a lot of small and medium-sized companies, especially B2B companies that are kind of trying to grow all over the world, they rely heavily on their website to kind of drive leads, drive revenue. But most people that are actually responsible for those websites are not website experts by any means. And also, there's just never been more data in the world, and there's a lot of marketing data out there. You got campaign data, SEO data, content data, website data. You got all this data flying at you, and most people are not equipped to kind of just analyze it. You need to be a data scientist to be able to do that. So I just figured there must be a better way. And I started to build this tool, and it actually, the first version was in Excel, Microsoft Excel. And at the very time that I had this idea of how to solve it, which was actually to not just show people typical metrics, just a lot of numbers or graphs and just all this stuff that most analytics tools do. I said, people just want to be told what's going on. Like, this is what's going on. This is what you can do about it. And this is how you do it. And then AI just came in with ChatGPT 3.5, which just blew my mind one Christmas when I started playing around with it for the first time. And I just saw this whole company come together in my head in like 10 seconds.
Wow, that's amazing. And, can you give me a practical example of how Optise dramatically improved the client's B2B website performance? You don't have to name names, but what's a real example of how this tool can help?
Okay, so we have this one customer which has a very it's a B2B SaaS company. They're trying to grow all over the world, and it's a 2-people marketing team and in 100 people company. So it's a low ratio, and they're just like very stretched, this team. And they rely, like 95% of their leads come in through the website. And these guys, they're smart guys, very good guys, but they still just don't have any time to look at all this data and go through all the analytics and kind of figure out what to do. So they started using Optise with us, and one of the things we do immediately is we'll spot any issues with the website. It could be like technical stuff, like the mobile speed is too slow, it's taking forever to load, which just annoys users and annoys Google. And then we would flag all these issues with them, and then they just started tackling them one by one. And then what we do as well is we don't just flag what's wrong. We also try to find these gold nuggets of opportunities hidden in the data. And that's the trickiest part, if you ask me. It's like, you have all this data, like, where are the opportunities? So one thing we started to see is, like, they had a certain number of traffic from these various countries, and this traffic from the countries that had these high volumes, they were actually engaged on the website. The numbers can tell us that, but actually they're never actually taking that action at the end. They don't ask for a free trial. They don't ask for a demo or ask for a call with them. So we said, listen, there's a bottleneck where there's some kind of problem in your buyer's journey somewhere towards the end. And we just identified that they needed just more tailored experience for these from the visitors from these countries. So we whipped up some landing pages. We whipped up some case studies that were tailored for these countries, and some metrics to showcase that they were actually designed to address that audience. So we did that, and it fixed it. And now the buyer's journey went from beginning to end. So a lot of people from those countries are actually taking that action they wanted to take. So they saw a drastic spike in leads coming from these particular countries.
So which actionable steps does the platform recommend, to be able to how's it optimizing the lead conversion? Is it continuously sensing, or how does it do it? Does there human intervention? Is it autonomous? How does it work?
At the moment, it's a hybrid model of, so our team has been working in the space for collectively over 100 years. So we just know a lot about websites, a lot about marketing. That's kind of our expertise. And we're training AI. I mean, AI is only as good as you train it on those particular use cases. So the first step was to gather all this data in one place. We have website data. We have technical analysis. We scan the websites from top to bottom. We have SEO data, social media data, and we plug it all together. And then we used our experience and AI to kind of focus on this particular use case. And how it does it is we've created a Bible for websites, like what's the optimal website for these particular companies. We have uploaded best practices, put in a list of websites we think are awesome. So it's kind of putting together all this data and then being able to kind of pick out what's important. And we do it through insights instead of metrics and graphs. So the insights can be different types. It could be an issue, an opportunity, a fun fact, a highlight, something that's kind of easy to digest for a normal person or a person responsible for a website.
What are some of the common pitfalls in sales and marketing alignment, and how do you help bridge this gap? So you got alignment. Sales and marketing sometimes aren't aligned, dramatically not aligned, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, here's another thing, Omar. One of the things that so I've written a lot about this, right? But one of the things is that sometimes we start our marketing too early. The company's not really ready for it because they don't understand what their product is. They don't have product market fit, and they're trying to market something because they're trying to get revenue that doesn't exist, and the product may be dramatically different. How do you get out and address that so they're not doing it too early? And then where's the alignment? How do you align sales and marketing so everybody's on the same page?
Great question. Let me start with the sales and marketing alignment, because I had that pain myself when I was at the B2B SaaS company. And sometimes we call it the MQL, SQL hell, which is the bridge between sales and marketing. And I had this marketing team, maybe 5 people on my team, and then I was working with a 15-people sales team. And in many cases, the alignment is that marketing is responsible to heat up the market and then kind of deliver leads or kind of warmed up prospects to sales on a silver platter. And then sales will go, I don't know, this lead is bad. I don't think it's a good one. All your leads are bad. And that's typically what marketing thinks, is that leads is just crappy at sending emails, crappy at following up on those leads. And sales is saying, no, these leads are not relevant at all. So I would say actually sales and marketing should be one department, and we can call it a revenue department, which would sit under a chief revenue officer. And then they need to just be working incredibly close together, so the buyer's journey, so the buyer doesn't feel any disconnect when it goes from some ad or some kind of website or experience and all the way into that meeting and into the sales process. So I'd say the more they kind of work together.
But you got to assume that you have your marketing down, and that you've got, as my friends Bob Dorff and Steve Blank say, people really grab it out of your hands, but sometimes they grab it out. Because I've been through this as I founded my companies. The company changed. I'll give you a direct example. So I was at Stanford University, and Stuart Butterfield was there. And he was saying, with his first company, the gaming company, it just didn't work, and he had to sell something. So he took this project management tool that he built for his gaming company, and that's actually became Slack. So what he was trying to sell changed. And what happens, because you pivot, and sometimes marketing, it's like steering the Titanic, right? It's hard for them to steer. And direct it, and they don't want to steer because they have their plans, they got a PR strategy, they get all this stuff, but you can't do that. How in the world do you help them to turn the Titanic, so they don't sink? And they're not, if the messaging is so far off that it's not going to create any interest because it's off, how do you pivot them, and how can you help? How does Optise help?
I would say, positioning is one of the most kind of underestimated exercises, I think. And that kind of, if you don't have the right positioning, your messaging is going to be off. That means your content's going to be off. Your whole strategy is going to be off. I had that happen to me once, that we're just spraying wrong messages into the world. And everybody was like, what's wrong? Why isn't everybody buying? And we had spent thousands and thousands of dollars of bad campaigns. So I would say the way to fix that is actually to focus incredibly heavily on customer research. Just understand everything about your customer, the pains, their wants, and how they, if they're not using your tool, what are they using, and what do they like about your tool? So that's where I really get fixated, is to understand every minute detail about what my customers or prospects are thinking. So that's I would say that's, you have to start with that before you start the messaging and the content and the sales.
I mean, so let's look at it, right? And I've been doing this for a long time, and I've seen a lot of challenges. 17 different companies, IPOs on NASDAQ, a lot of things. But one of the things that I found, and sometimes this is the hardest to understand, especially if you build a couple companies and you got to, it's like going back, it's like all of a sudden you're running in the, in France, bicycle, and you're winning a race. You're doing the Tour de France, and all of a sudden you're back riding a bicycle with training wheels when you start a new company. So one of the things you have is, it's a challenge, but one of the things that I've seen, and just, tell me what you think about it, but the customer development, the whole lean startup model that Steve Blank and Bob Dorff built, and Eric Ries, is basically, you got to go out and test the model to make sure it works before you go out and try to set up a marketing strategy and all that. You got to go out, because the marketing people will market whatever you want. You tell them to market, they'll put it out, and the sales people will sell it, and they'll give you they'll tell you all kinds of stories why it's not selling, right? In reality, but they may not tell you the truth, because they're moving. They're different kind of animal. They're selling you. So what you got to go out. What we said, and what I've said, is you got to go out 50 times and take that product or service. Take your phone, take your computer, record what happens, take it out, do a little bit of a pitch, give them a little bit of the deck, mock up slides, and see if it's interesting for them, if people really like what they hear, and listen to the feedback. God gave us 2 ears and a mouth for a reason. Listen. And when you do that kind of customer development, it works, because what happens is you get into the heart and soul of that customer, and they tell you what you want to hear. You're not trying to sell them, you're just trying to get their opinion, right? And so it'd be like walking into Starbucks in Reykjavik and going in and talking about it, and, hey, what do you think of this? How does this make you feel? And then all of a sudden you're doing what would take you 2 years if you try to do it by building a product. And by the way, it's like building a house, from my perspective, and your house is sometimes a little crooked, and it shouldn't be. And all of a sudden you're putting on the roof and you say, my house is crooked, I got to tear it down. It's better to go down through before it's done, is to do course correct it, so you have less to dig out. It's a big problem. So, if you look at it, which specific AI capabilities within Optise do your clients most like? What's the most interesting? If they say, oh, this is a gotcha, I love this. What's one thing that they say that stands out, and it's basically the hook to get them in?
That's a good one. What's the aha? So I think for me, AI has been kind of thinned out a lot when people talk about AI, when like we have AI this, AI that, and often it's just a ChatGPT window with which you can kind of ask questions on.
API. The thing is, they don't get it. It's not till I was just in California last week. So I was speaking in San Francisco, and one of the things that happens is people finally are starting to realize, but they're not that deep into it yet. Like multi-agent large language models, some of the things that we're working on, multimodal large language models, empathy and compassion in the system. So it's a more human-like experience. So those kind of things are going to be really important, but sometimes we forget, because a lot of the time the founders are technical folks, and they're not, touchy-feely, humanistic. They're more like, let's get it done. If it works for them, they're going to buy it. It doesn't work like that. You know? It's like it's when you were doing consultative sales, right? At a high level, you went in, and it's a different approach. It's not like, buy something from me. Let's talk about it. What are your needs? How do we help you? Right. And then they want to do it. So, that's so your specific tools if you could rank the top 3, what do people say? I want this, I want this, I want this. This is why I buy. This is why I'm going to buy, or this is why it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean I'm totally on board with what you just said, because it's also, and I heard Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful, say this once, and he's like, AI is no good without a great user experience, and I really subscribe to that. So what we are trying to do is to try making that data accessible in the most user-friendly way. And when people actually just open up the tool and we just tell them, this is what's going on your website, and they don't have to go through all the numbers and just kind of.
And that's the problem, so Omar, so that they don't have to go through it because you take care of what? And by the way, I started talking about this in 2016, infobesity. There's too much data. They can't figure it out. People don't have time anymore. They can't compete unless they have superpowers, right? And so what you're doing is Optise is giving them superpowers to be able to dive in and get a window of what is happening so they can course correct and fix it, either manually, run a hybrid way, or if they want to do it independently, autonomously, those tools are going to be out there. In another year, you're going to you won't even have to know. It's like it's like the computer on a car. It'll keep course correcting all the time. And so,
I mean, that is exactly it. We were just trying to make it simple, easy. Our tone of voice is very human and just friendly. We're just trying to be a buddy. We understand that these people are busy. They just want to have it easy, and they want to have it in a nice user experience. So the whole brand, the whole tone of voice, the whole strategy is to keep it simple, so people just get what the information they need and can action on it as quickly as possible.
You're right. Keep it simple. We say keep it simple, stupid. The KISS principle, right? Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
They get the stuff done.
We have that over here too.
So you look at it, and then the other thing is, what we say is, we named our company. I named my company GSD for a reason. It's Get Shit Done, and I said that is because it's not about the talk; it's about the action. A lot of times, what happens, people talk about it. It's funny because how many armchair billionaires are out there saying, I thought about this 5 years ago. Omar, you're a genius. I thought about this 10 years ago, but they don't do anything, right?
I've looked at a few times.
And every time they look in the past, it's always 2020. Everything they said was right. But the problem is they're not the ones that are making the money in the stock market and those kind of things, or betting on the companies. That's a whole other story, but it's very interesting. You get to a point where you're on top of it. You start to understand where the market's going to go. Know what's going to happen next before the people.
Exactly. And I mean, that's one of the kind of pillars of what we're doing is this. We just strongly believe that online sales is just kind of taking over. And, the numbers that we're seeing now is like the growth of online sales is like 10 to 50% a year. So that's crazy. So every company out there that is in online business or is going to need to be in online business, they need to think about the digital experience in a new way. And we really believe that the website is going to be at the heart of that. I mean, discovery, like how people find products and services, that's changing a little bit. So people are looking in ChatGPT and DeepSeek and Gemini and all these tools. And that's called AEO. And that's like the brother of SEO, kind of how people find things. But the website is so important, and that's why we're stressing that companies, please give your website some love, optimize it and kind of tailor it and think about it as your number one salesperson, not just an online brochure that sits there and does nothing.
And we don't understand the power. In fact, it'll be interesting for you. In a couple of weeks, I'll have the father of e-commerce, the guy who actually started the whole infrastructural stuff to the internet was done by a guy named P-Hong Chen. And P-Hong started Broadvision, original investor in Siebel Systems, Ufida, Sinan, China, that kind of thing. He's a good friend of mine. And I remember when he said, because I was right there. I started the first e-commerce consulting company. He said, it's a $30 billion cottage industry. This is in 1998. And I was exactly with him when he said it. And people said, oh, no, he's not right. It's not going to happen. His stock went from $6 to well over $2,000 a share, like split adjusted. And he was on the cover of the magazine as Master of the Universe. And, there's a chair at Stanford named after him, all this stuff. But he said it, and people said, no, Amazon's just for books. They're bleeding money. And people were laughing. He said they're going to laugh, but it's going to be successful, and it's going to really rule everything. But what we're saying now is, part of it, Omar, is creating those one-to-one experiences, and kind of like your grandmother loves you and cares about you unconditionally, that kind of guides you.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing is we're so inundated in our own personal cloud, in our own, buying cloud. We don't even know what to buy anymore. When's it a good deal? When should I buy it?
Yeah.
What do I need? Is this a part for the car that
Yeah.
I'm going to need in 2 months and it's on sale now that I should buy it? I would love to have those alerts, in advance. So
Yeah.
you're moving in the right direction. Listen, we could spend another half an hour on this, but I wanted to make sure I get through this for you. How do you go down through as a CEO? How do you deal with innovation within the company, within your company? How do you innovate all the time to stay ahead of the curve?
So it's we have a very lean team. We use AI a lot internally. We use tools like Copilot and Cursor. So I think it's at least 5 to 10xing our developers. So we have a very innovative culture, I'd say. We have a book of the month where one of us will put a book on the table and say this is the or a audio book, and people will listen to when we discuss it. We have these presentations every Friday where we go and listen, and somebody presents one idea that's new, and we just challenge each other in a very healthy way without kind of taking it personally. So we're not afraid to say this isn't good enough or this needs to be better. So we're really, I think the culture needs to be quite open and not be scared about personal feelings, or at least have be comfortable with telling each other the truth without having to sugarcoat it too much. So I think we're all just A players. We're just really striving for excellence, and then we challenge each other a lot, and we love what we do. So we're just really interested in the space. So that's kind of, I think, radiates into the office. Somebody will come in, look at this, did you see what they just launched? And then we kind of just discuss it a little bit. And then we think, does this impact us as a company at all, or what we're trying to do? So it's just a continuous cycle of just getting new ideas out there, discussing new ideas internally, and never being afraid to kind of just throw things away if we don't think it's working. We just had a workshop earlier today where we threw something away, which we thought we never would, but it was just our user testing was telling us it's not working. So you have to be.
That's great, and you got to sometimes walk away from it. You can't be emotionally attached.
Yeah.
So what are your final thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you? And by the way, Omar, as soon as we're done with this, stay on and we can talk a little bit. So
sounds good.
So closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you?
So people can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Omar Thor Omarsson, and I really respond to anybody that reaches out. I say yes to everything. So please reach out if you have any questions or if you have anything you want to talk about. My final thoughts are these. I really am fixated on the future of online sales and what the future of digital experiences is. And I think people really need to start thinking about just really wrapping up what they believe good looks like when we say digital experiences. We're going to have how are people going to buy things in the future? I think for B2C, when it's a pair of shoes or a Coca-Cola, it's going to be like one clicks through TikTok or Instagram. It's going to be one click touches. But in more maybe partnership, relationship-based purchases like B2B, where you're kind of partnering with a company, I think the website's going to be at the heart of that. And I think the website should offer a real-time dynamic experience. When Gary Fowler or Omar Thor goes to the website, we see different things. And then the website learns about how we behave and morphs into what it thinks we want to see. And I think that's the experience we're going for. That means we have to have the data, we have to have a great user experience, and we have to kind of understand who is the user actually looking at the website or the digital channel at that time. So I would want to encourage any company out there that's in online sales. Now is the time to really start ramping this up. Otherwise it's going to be too late.
No, I agree with it. And how do people get a hold of you, Omar?
Yeah, just I think LinkedIn is probably the best place. Omar Thor Omarsson for Optise. I think that's people can find me there. At me. I accept every invitation.
That's great. Well, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. It's appreciated. And thanks to all my audience. We've hit 1.1 million views. I appreciate it. We are at a little over 1,300 podcasts today. We believe that intellectual capacity is evenly spread, but opportunities are not. Today, GSD is in 73 countries in the world. We have 182 companies. We are a family office, and it's my family office, and we're looking for the best companies in the world all the time. The idea is you need three things: operational expertise, access to capital, and the networking contacts. And if you have all those three in a resilient team, any company can become a unicorn, each one of you. So go get them, believe in your dreams. Check out my TED Talk that I did talking about unleashing human potential. We each have the possibility. Take care of yourselves. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And I'll be back to you again soon with another exciting edition. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Amor.
Thanks for having me.